Hi guys, second review for tonight. All right, Jake is holding our big book, and there's of course plastic on it because this is a library book, but it is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. All right, are we good, Jake? I know it's getting heavy. I'll hold it. Okay, so I didn't. Anyway, so sorry about that. So when my coworker said, "Hey, let's read this," next, because me and my coworker are starting to read books, not together, but like at the same time, so we can say, "Are you chapter so and so? Did you read this part?" So it's our own like little librarian book club. She's like, "Hey, do you want to read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires?" I'm like, "Sure." I saw it. I'm like, "Ooh, I love vampire books." Little did I realize that it was written by Grady Hendrix, who I love because I read Horror Store. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it if you like horror stories. Anyway, so I am giving this 3.5 stars. That was supposed to be a half, but it went kind of quick, so 3.5 stars. And I'll explain why. So the premise of this book is there's, I think, 2, 3, 4, about 5 or 6 women. 6 women. And they have this book club, but they're reading boring books. So they're like, no, we're just going to start our own book club. And they start reading true crime books, which is awesome. Like, Helter Skelter. This was taken back in the 90s. This was written the 90s. So when Helter Skelter came, I know Helter Skelter came out in the 80s, but the story's based off in the 90s. So they read Helter Skelter and Cold Blood and all that fun stuff. So Patricia, who's our main character, takes out the trash at night, and she sees her neighbor eating a raccoon. Now, I'm sorry. If I saw my neighbor eating a raccoon and eating its guts, do you think I would approach it? Or her? No. However, Patricia, and I like to call her Dumb Patricia throughout the book, starts approaching the neighbor saying, "Hey, is everything okay?" Well, of course, the neighbor lunges after Patricia and bites part of her ear off. And then finally gets rescued. And they put her neighbor in the hospital. Anyway, the woman's nephew is taking care of the house because eventually the neighbor dies. So the nephew is taking care of his great aunt's house. And this nephew is a little weird, aka the vampire. It's not your normal vampire story. And that's the reason why I gave it 3.5. It's because it's different. I like it because it's different. And I've read a lot of vampire books in my time. So I'm liking that it was different. However, it was just a little too different for my taste to be a 4 or 5 review. Yeah, the thing crawling out of its mouth was kind of not a highlight for me. Yeah. It was kind of a little downfall. Let's just say that. Anyway, I like the characters. All the characters good. I like calling Patricia dumb because she was dumb. Even though she was dumb, she did manage to pull out. She managed to get smart and feisty at the end. I'm not giving away too much because I know y'all want to read this if you do like vampires and Grady Hendrix. So yeah, the husbands drove me nuts. And it was at the point in the second part, towards in the middle. I just wanted to keep reading it. It was like I needed to know what happened next. So that's a good book, in my case. When it keeps my interest in saying, "Oh, just keep reading." I'm like, okay. The ending was good. I enjoyed the ending. Definitely enjoyed it. It was Would it be a good ending? I guess it'd be a good ending. Yeah, like happy ending? Yeah, I suppose it could be a happy ending. So I can see them making this in the movie. However, I will not watch the movie. I don't mind reading the gross stuff, but man, it's not for the weak of heart, or not for the people who don't like blood. So yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, definitely won't be watching movies. They come out with a movie version of it. But like I said, I did enjoy it. It was a different twist on a different kind of vampire. Or vampire goes out during the day. This one does. So strange. Anyway. But that didn't bother me as much as the thing coming out of his mouth. Ugh, gross. So yeah, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I'm giving this 3.5 stars. All right. And that is it for me tonight. Who knows? I'll probably be on it sometime this week. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But until then, happy reading, guys. Have a great night. Pleasant dreams. Until then, bye. Bye, Jake.